smiling time.
All right, what's up, party people? How's everybody doing this fine evening? See, we already got some people in the house. Jen's in the house. Charlenia's here. Lutra. Oh, I haven't seen Lutra in a while. How you doing? Eve's here. Hello, Eve. Good to see you. All right, we got a really lovely program for everyone this evening. Thinking about different virtues and how we can dial into them a little more, improve our lives and our state of being. I was thinking about forgiveness. You know, one of the things that I notice, when you journal a lot of the same things keep coming up, and if you don't want these things to be coming up, then it's incumbent upon us to explore the mechanisms behind what's going on and see if we can't let some of that go. I think a lot of us have people in our lives that we need to forgive. A lot of us need to forgive ourselves for things, right? So tonight's program is going to be 10 prompts on forgiveness, the power of forgiveness. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Also, if there's any newbies in the house, definitely let me know so I can give you a warm welcome. Okay, so Eve says, not sure about this week. The idea of forgiving a bit triggering, but I'll stay open. That's good. It's good to stay open, not good to get triggered, obviously. Well, if it's provoking a response in you, I think it's worth taking a closer look at. That said, I'm not a mental health professional or expert. That said, there are no shortage of them available. So, if something gets a little too heavy for you in this process, I would just say, make a note of it, and don't force yourself to cut too deep here. I think if for this, I think it's important that we try to keep it light and keep it I guess keep it not too heavy. Right, that's all I can come up with for that, right? I think if any of these things feel a little bit too heavy in a way that you don't think that you can process it on your own, I would say make a note of it. It's good to take notice of when these things are triggering you, and then bring it to someone who can help you work through it. I understand that forgiveness can definitely be a heavier topic. A lot of us have had different life experience, and some of the things that we're forgiving people for, or ourselves for, maybe maybe a little bit lighter. And that said, some of us have had really, really heavy experiences, and I would say be brave. I think it's always it's always good to approach your journal with a little bit of courage. Nobody's going to be grading you on this. Nobody's going to be judging you on this, except for maybe yourself, right? And I think that one of the cool things about journaling is that we can kind of get it out all on the page, and without that sense of judgment, kind of sort through it a little bit. So, that said, I think you'll find tonight's program to be very, very helpful. I think these things that we carry in our lives can be a hindrance to us having the sort of life experience that we want. And also with adversity, there's always lessons to be had there. So again, be courageous, be bold, but if you find yourself in the weeds, or going to a place that you're just not comfortable going, this doesn't have to be the place where you do your deepest work. I think that one of the things about having these, like, this 3-minute power prompting sort of structure is that we can sort of scratch the surface of these things, but definitely earmark this stuff for deeper journaling or deeper work with a professional if necessary. So appreciate the vulnerable share there, and I hope you find this program helpful for you this evening. All right, so let me take a closer look here. We got Robin's in the house, Sherry's in the house, Monique is in the house, Deidre's happy to be here. Awesome. Okay, and we got some newbies. So Sherry, welcome. I think Monique, you might be new. Welcome welcome, welcome, welcome to our little club here. This is Journal Party Live, and typically what we do here is we journal together through the newest programs inside of our guided journaling app, which is what you're seeing on your screen. This is the web browser-based version. You can access that anytime by visiting app.journalparty.com. Or if you would prefer, we do have a mobile app, and if you scan that QR code or just visit the Apple App Store or Google Play, then you can find our app there and go through these programs at your own leisure. They have player controls, so you can skip around or pause if you want to take a little bit more time on a topic. But for this evening, you won't actually need the app because I'll be streaming it on the screen. I will read the prompts that are inside of the program and then leave it to you to write through them. And then at the very end, we will all just kind of hang out, share our insights, anything that's come up, anything that we want to share. And it doesn't necessarily have to be shares related to the prompts. We're a community here, and so it's always fun to check in with each other every week and celebrate each other's wins and support each other in each other's challenges and things like that. So if you're just finding us, I'm so glad that you did, and I think you're going to really like this. If journaling's your thing, this is an awesome group of people, and this is one of the highlights of my week for sure. All right, so that said, I think it's about time to dive into it. So I'm going to open up this evening's program. If you want to look at this one later, it lives in the Connection Compass, which is our collection of relationship-related programs. And this evening is the power of forgiveness. Like I said, we got 10 prompts. We're going to do 3 minutes per prompt, and then we'll all hang out at the end. And for sure, Eve. Not everything has to be deep and intense. I think this is a self-paced sort of thing. I'll be guiding the process, right? But you know yourself better than anyone else. That's kind of our whole thesis here, right? Like, I'm not your guru. I'm not your coach necessarily. I mean, I can coach you into getting consistent with your journal and stuff like that. But the whole reason that we developed this was because just the act of prompting can guide you to your own deeper wisdom, your own inner wisdom, which we all have. I think we all know our own situations better than anybody else, and while it's good to get feedback and stuff from other people, oftentimes it just takes taking a closer look under the hood, giving ourselves that space to create that sort of self-awareness. And from there, we can decide how we want to proceed. So, all right, that's enough spieling from me. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this Start Now button, and we'll count us down. Go ahead and open up that journal. Let's get this party started. Here comes prompt number 1. Defining forgiveness. What does forgiveness mean to you? How do you know when you have truly forgiven? prompt, a moment of hurt. Think of a time when someone hurt you. How has holding on to that pain affected you? Next prompt, understanding their side. How dare we? Imagine the person who hurt you explaining their actions. What might they say? Here we go with the next prompt, releasing resentment. What emotions come up when you think about forgiving? What would it feel like to let go? Forgiving yourself. Write about something you need to forgive yourself for. How can you show yourself compassion? Lessons from pain. How has a painful experience shaped you in a positive way? Boundaries and forgiveness. What boundaries can you set to protect your peace while still choosing to forgive? Next prompt, a letter you won't send. Write a letter of forgiveness to someone, whether you plan to share it or not. Imagining a lighter you. What would your life feel like if you fully embraced forgiveness? Your next step. What is one small action you can take today to move toward forgiveness? All right, you made it. Hopefully that wasn't too painful for for anybody. It's not always easy work, self-reflection. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I had some tough stuff come up. It's not new stuff. These are things that I have spent much time ruminating in and trying to get away from that. And so it feels really good to allow some of this stuff to come up and release it. I think the more you get it on the page, the more it becomes something that you can look at a little bit more objectively, and then decide how you want to integrate it or have it be involved in your life in any way, shape, or form. It's what what was there was a story that I was thinking of throughout this, and I've 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 consumed so much like self-help stuff in my life that I'm probably just like an amalgamation of all of it. But one story that I've heard from a lot of the teachers that I've learned from um, is I would say it's pretty spot on when it comes to this, and I think it's like a Zen parable, and the idea is that holding a grudge, or holding on to resentment because of something someone did to you, or someone you don't like. It's like holding on to a burning hot coal with the intent of throwing it at your enemy. And I think that's what, at least the stuff that I was working on, that's what that I just kept thinking of that story, because it's like, oh, you did this to me, and like, and yeah, like some people do awful things to you, and you know um people won't treat you the way that you deserve to be treated in your life. But you know to actually um hold on to that, it doesn't make it any better. If anything, it just hurts you. And I find that when you invite some of this stuff up, it's going to be painful. I mean, we all have our stuff, right? And a lot of us try to not allow it to come up, and we hold on to it. But then what happens is, somebody looks at you the wrong way, and it makes you think of that thing that they did to you, or that other person did to you, and all of a sudden you're spiraling out. You're you got something crazy going on, because you're trying to get the world to fit, to fit you like a nice soft pillow. And that's just not the way things are. I mean, there's just way too much stuff going on. And to try to force things to be the way you want them to be, or to be different, like trying to change things that you can't change. I mean, that's a lot of I think the utility in forgiveness comes from that, because it's like, well, look, forgiveness, you're talking about, something that has happened, right? And you can want it to be different. Like, you have every right to want it to be different, but the reality is it can't ever be. And so to acknowledge that, and to be as brave as possible, and somehow find a way to accept it, you can then integrate whatever it is that you've learned, and try to show up better in this world. And so, again, I know a lot of us have had varying degrees of life experience. Some of us have had horrible injustices, committed against us. And so, I want to be careful not to diminish anyone's life experience, or to say that, try to force, like, you need to let this go. Like, this is all a process. And so I think, the other part of this is that, while we want to be as courageous and brave as possible, we also need to be kind to ourselves, and allow these things to happen naturally. I think part of what's happening here is it's a natural mechanism, and us in our infinite wisdom, we try to get out in front of our natural processes, and make them our, the way that we want them to be. And, that can be a bad time. But I think that, ultimately, these things, when you do invite them up, when they do come up, it's a chance to release them. And what I was feeling was a lot of lightness. I think that in order to get to that point, though, I was just like trying to think about it, like, well, I mean, first off, you need to be aware of what's going on. You need to be aware that, hey, I'm reliving this thing over and over again, and it's not serving me, or it's not helpful. It's not teaching anybody else a lesson or anything like that. I don't know. Lots of things were coming up for me in this, in terms of like when someone did something to me, that I didn't like, at the time, I wanted them to hurt for it. Like, I wanted to cause them harm. And, now that enough space has gone by, it's like, we don't even have any sort of overlap in our lives. So, like, why would I wish, something, negative on someone else? I hope that they've found wisdom, and, can treat people a little bit better. But, that's their life journey. And ultimately, all I'm left with is my life journey, and trying to sort out what I can control, and try to decide how I want to show up in this world. And I certainly don't want to be a guy who's walking around cynical with a chip on his shoulder because, somebody else did something to me that I didn't deserve. It's like, yeah, okay, I didn't deserve that. It sucks that I had to experience that. I had to experience that pain. But what, like, ultimately, if I zoom out, it's like, well, what happened? I mean, it led to a lot of growth. It was a lot of pain that it took me to get there. But only through the willingness of being willing to actually examine some of these things, and allow them to come up and pass through, so that they can, so that I can move on, so I don't have to carry that sort of thing. Like, only then, I think, do I feel some semblance of peace in there. And I'm not gonna lie, like, some of these things that I was thinking of in working through on this, like, they're still painful. And I think time has definitely helped with that. But I wonder if, we can ever, truly 100% let something go. Maybe if you figure out how to do it, let me know. But it has trended, towards being better. So, time heals some wounds here. And I think also, just shining the light of awareness on things, gets the darkness out of it. So, yeah. Anyway, I applaud you for being willing to do this kind of work. I know, sometimes we have really fun sessions where, we're imagining, like what we want for our lives and, our goals and what makes us, passionate. But, this one was like a little bit deeper, a little bit heavier. And so, thank you so much for being willing to show up and do this kind of work. I truly believe that there's like a current of oneness that unites us all. And, ultimately it's incumbent upon us to do this kind of work so that, we're not, contributing negatively to that whole that we are a part of. And so, if you were able to, get in touch with that, find some forgiveness, release on some of these things that have been burdening you. Well, first off, congratulations. I hope you feel amazing about that. And second off, thank you, because you're not going to bring your garbage into someone else's life. And like, that's an awesome thing. Like, we all, I don't know. I'm going to get off the soapbox for a little bit, but I think this is good work, and so I really appreciate, like, sincerely, you being willing to do this. I think this is the kind of thing, if we can get people to journal en masse, get people to improve their self-awareness, I think the world's going to be a better place, and then hopefully people won't have to suffer in ways that you've had to suffer. And I think that's that's at least a silver lining to some of this. So anyway, seeing you guys sharing some stuff. So want to take a quick look. All right, real quick. I saw, Kristen was asking about Monday. So the cost for that is just being a premium member. So, we have a couple different plans for that, but basically we're starting to add in Zoom sessions, group journaling sessions into the premium membership. And then if you go into the app, you'll see that there's premium Zoom sessions, and it's got all the information there. I'm looking to add more sessions though, but we need more people to actually show up and participate. So if you see that Mondays at 8 Pacific, so that would be 11 Eastern. If that doesn't work for you, and you're thinking, oh man, I would really love to hop in on like these Zoom sessions, these accountability sessions, or whatever, shoot me an email. Let me know, like, when is a good time for you. I need to hear from the group here. I need to hear from everybody, so we can as we start to add additional times, hopefully they're actually working out for people. But yeah, it's been awesome for the past few weeks. Every Monday we've been getting together. We journal stream of consciousness for about 20 minutes. Then we do gratitude and goal setting. And then we have an accountability board where we share what we're working on that week. And we put it on the board, and then the next week I say, hey, did you do that thing that you said you were going to do? And you either say yeah or no, I'm still working on it. But I know personally I've gotten some of these things that I've been kind of procrastinating on. I've been able to get some of them done because I don't I don't want to show up and say that I didn't keep my promises to myself. So anyway, yeah, check that out. It's in Journal Party Premium. So we're doing weekly Zoom sessions on Monday morning now. All right. Let's see, some more you guys saying some stuff. All right. Nahal says, my journal is filled with great entries and garden stickers. Thank you, Alex, for the gift of this gathering. Oh, you're so welcome. It's definitely one of the highlights of my week. I usually come to these things like tired and like, I don't know that I have it in me tonight. And then by the time we're all talking and hanging out, I'm just like feeling great. So thank you for, entertaining my little ideas here. And, I'm certainly getting a lot out of it. And so, thank you for showing up. I hope others are getting stuff out of this as well. Sandy says ruminating. Yeah, that's a tough one. And it's something I think we all do, and that's something to try to avoid. Like, rumination isn't a good thing, and that's like the other thing. As try to observe as you write. I know, like sometimes when you're thinking about the past or imagining the future, it's hard to observe what's going on in the present moment. But as much as you can, try to bring it back to that point of where your pen is meeting the page, with a little bit of conscious awareness in the present. I think it's maybe not possible to ruminate in the actual present moment, because you're just there experiencing it. But yeah, I mean, I think ultimately getting these thoughts out on the page can kind of liberate us from that rumination, and that's been my experience. But it still happens, and that's why I still journal. Sharon says, tonight's questions are thought provoking. I need to spend more than 3 minutes on each question. Yeah, same for me. Some of these, I feel like 3 minutes is enough, but that's why we have the player controls in the app, because sometimes it's just nice to pause and like really give it some space. Like I had probably about 3 more pages of that letter that I was writing for the letter prompt, and so I'll probably want to revisit some of these myself. And of course, even if you don't have premium for free, you can go back and inside of the app and on our YouTube channel, you can watch all of the replays to these. And so, if you do want to spend some more time on these prompts, definitely give yourself the space, like the gift of space to work through your stuff. And I think, not only will it pay dividends in your own life, but people will appreciate and I think validate the awareness that you're cultivating, and how it improves the collective experience for sure. Jen says, wow, you hit me with a triple whammy tonight. I hit on my mom's death, my sister blaming me for it, oof, and letting go of the last bits of my first marriage and the abuse that I survived. Thanks. I really do feel lighter letting it out. The pages are my brave space. That is awesome. I need to frame that to look at that when I'm like, is this helping people? Is this really working? I'm glad, because I experience these sorts of things, the lightness of letting go, and how instrumental my journal is in enabling me to do that. But it's really awesome to see a share like this and see that it's working out for you. Those things are tough. I've lost a parent, but fortunately no one blamed me for it. I can't even imagine. And I think the trap would be to kind of have the greatest hits of all the things that really bother you about that going on in your brain, and telling yourself some story about why your life can't be the way that you want it to be. And the reality is like, well, all that stuff happened, and you've got a ton of inner wisdom in there to help you sort through it, and use it as a propellant. Use it as something that can not only do you have to be free from this stuff, but when you learn from it, you can then show up as a better person in this world, the kind of person that we need more of. I mean, you don't have to watch the news for more than 5 minutes to see that there's a lot of head garbage going on in the collective. And I think that while you can't control other people necessarily, that's not the name of the game. I think the name of the game is taking a look at what your reality is, and show up with all your might if you can. And so I appreciate you being brave, and I'm really glad that you're feeling a little lighter. That's awesome. Kathy says, for me, forgiveness is no longer holding on to the negatives or injustices I believe have been done to me. I no longer hold on to the past. Yeah, invite it up and let it go if you can. Terry said, I had to forgive someone because it's as much for you as it is for them. Oh, I mean, if not more for you, right? Like, I don't know that the person, I had several people that I was working on forgiveness for this, but like, I don't know that they care. They probably don't care. Like, and you know what? They're not, I've already moved on. It's none of my business if they care. But you know what, I would like is not feeling bad about these things that happened ages ago. And so, yeah, to free yourself, I think is the key there. Mary said, I heard one way that it's like squeezing a blade and expecting the other person to feel hurt. Yeah, absolutely. That's going back to the hot coal metaphor. Totally. Like, I hate imagining that. I have like this phobia of knives and blades. No, I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna have to let that one go. Kathy says, holding on to that pain has made me second guess lots of life choices and made me defensive in everything someone says, even when I agree with them. That's tough. That's tough. I can relate to that. I mean, the quote unquote injustices that I was forgiving, I think, really made me second guess myself. And that, I think that's the worst part of it. I mean, like, yeah, in the moment, it hurts, but like that lingering after effect where you're just like, you're questioning like who you are and the things you know to be right and true. And it stinks. It stinks that somebody can, just say something or do something and have that kind of, that kind of power over you. But I think, ultimately what's going on there is like you're collecting bits that support your life's narrative, your story. And one of the things that we say in Journal Party is like, live a life worth writing about. And yeah, I still think that's a good idea, but we have to be really careful about the stories that we tell ourselves, because look, there's a reason why drama is like one of the main genres for movies. Like there's this idea of like this arc, this character arc in this story. Like it's intoxicating. It sucks us in. It's like makes us want to go see these movies and things like that because you want to see how that story evolves. And it's cool that your life can have a story, but you also have to like zoom out and realize that like you're just telling yourself a story, and that like the deeper reality is you observing the story. You're the one watching the movie. You don't have to always be the actor in it. I don't know. Take that for checking. It's hard understanding their side because they will never own up to it. I don't need to know that side to forgive them. I know how it made me feel, and that's enough. Yeah, and also explore like, well, like what's the value in getting them to own up to it? I was exploring that a little in my own. It's like, well, like probably wouldn't even admit, wouldn't even admit the thing that you did, that you did in the first place. And I think like, well, what do I get out of them admitting that? I get to be right. Like what am I doing? I'm building up my identity about being self-righteous. No, I mean, ultimately I wish it didn't happen, but it did. And now like, what am I going to do about it? Like, who am I and what do I stand for? And how am I going to show up after this? Am I going to let this define me, or is it going to be one of those things that I'm aware of that I can now use to be a more effective human? Gabby's saying she I fell asleep. Hopefully not during the prompts. Oh, you fell asleep before the time. Oh yeah. Well, they'll catch us on the next one, or watch the replay. Eve, lots of traumatized people tend to diminish what happened or rationalize it by explaining it through the abuser or the person who did wrong perspective. It's a defense mechanism because the brain doesn't know how to deal with the enormity of what happens, and so it wants to make it smaller. Yeah, I mean, you can't diminish these things. I think ultimately it's finding acceptance in the reality of these things, and that doesn't mean we have to try to pretend like it wasn't what it was. I think I think ultimately, though, we're all striving to find some peace, and that only comes on the other side of acceptance. And that acceptance only comes when you're brave enough, when you're courageous enough to allow these things to come up so you can actually accept them. But, easier said than done, and it's work. So, again, I applaud you all for doing this kind of work. Deidre says, situations are painful. Love conquers all, if nothing more than love for oneself. Yeah, well, and you know what? If there is that greater undercurrent where, where there's a sense of oneness behind it, loving another is loving yourself. So, yeah. Sandy says, appreciate you sharing, of course. I mean, and I appreciate you all for sharing. It's the coolest thing when you guys get vulnerable on here. I know it's not always easy, but, it's this, like, look, we could all get on here and do some kind of Tony Robbins rah 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 type stuff, and there's a time and a place for that. But I think what really helps is understanding like, oh, we're all experiencing like this insanely like beautiful, complex, like horrifying yet beautiful and amazing, just this Well, my light went out here. This life experience, right? You're on this ride, and I think connecting with others, and seeing like how intricate and wild other people's stories can get. It helps you to kind of detach from your own story, and participate in the collective a little bit. Eve says 11 p.m. might be too late for me. It's 11 a.m. on Monday mornings, Eve. So I think that's what you're talking about. Sharon says, yeah, what time on Mondays? Yeah, 8 Pacific, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. And yeah, we hop on Zoom and we do Sarah says it's so much fun. Yeah, it's super fun. I basically just do my morning routine with everybody, which is about 20 minutes of stream of consciousness, like morning pages, if you've ever read The Artist's Way, followed by gratitude, and then goals, which are awesome to do after you've done gratitude. I think I had it backwards for the longest time, and once I started putting gratitude in front of my goals, I feel like supercharged about my goals by the time they pop up, and it's awesome. Yeah, and the accountability part is what's up. I mean, I think like that's probably like the biggest value there. I mean, it's nice to hang out while we all journal and stuff, but nobody wants to be embarrassed because they didn't do what they said they were going to do. Great little life hack to get yourself to do some stuff. Sarah says she feels motivated to be productive after. Awesome. All right. Kathy says, originally I thought I was totally against forgiving others because I thought I needed an apology from them, or that I was forgetting what was done and letting them back into my circle. Now I'm letting go bit by bit, and I no longer feel like a prisoner to those negative thoughts. My self-esteem is growing. That's amazing. Yeah, and that's the truth, right? Your mind and your thoughts can imprison you. I mean, on one hand, it's like the coolest instrument, it's the coolest tool. Like we can prompt it and get all this wisdom pouring out of us. But a lot of times, we have that like monkey mind, right? Where it'll just go off and start, telling you things that may or may not be true, and holding on to things and needing, like deciding that you need certain things, and to find that stillness, to find that quiet, and then in that space, see what emerges, and then just allow that, like welcome that up, see what happens. What tends to happen, at least for me, I can only share my own experience, is that it processes, it comes out, and then you're lighter, and you're not carrying these erroneous aspects of the self. Well, I don't think there are erroneous aspects of the self. I think we cloud ourself with these erroneous elements, and to just blast them out of you, I think is where it's at. Especially doing this stuff like before bed or when you wake up and start the day, can stop you from getting on somebody else's weird train of thought, or even your own weird train of thought. Sandy said, I truly believe journaling through difficult life events and life in general may help with keeping the brain healthy in the long term. Thank you, Alex, for being a positive force every week. Yeah, I try. Thank you for showing up every week, giving me an audience. It's awesome. Not going to lie, my ego loves it. What happened to our tunes? Okay, there we go. How young are you? I actually just turned 39. I know I look young for my age, but I'm still young. I'm still young, but yeah. Now I've at this point, I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a kid, and fortunately, I think journaling has helped me realize that, I've had a lot of interesting experiences. Some of them I would judge as being awesome. Some of them I would judge as being very difficult and very, very challenging. That said, I'm kind of grateful for the hardest things, like stuff like losing my dad, stuff like having, certain failures happen. I'm actually grateful for it because I survived it. And, when the wheel of fortune turns and you end up on the top, you can observe a little bit, and I'm not scared of stuff anymore. I mean, like, I certainly don't want certain things to happen. You try to control outcomes and things like that. But like, it's the hard stuff that I've been through, I think that has given me the most insight and the most wisdom, and when you do free yourself from that, it's like, oh, what's life going to throw at me that's harder than like losing my dad? I should be careful. I'm like tempting fate with that. But yeah, I think like I think we all have had a ton of interesting experiences, and I think that's maybe my favorite part about all of this, is that we get to share all that insight and that experience with each other. I learn from you guys every week. Kathy said, a small action is being part of Journal Party and writing honestly to the prompts and not worrying about being judged. Another is pursuing my hobbies and making something more from it. Awesome. Yeah. Well, Kathy's in our group, our Monday group. She's working on a writing project. So, I know, I think you talked to Jen about that, right? Anyway, yeah, we're cheering her on. I think she's got a book coming out of her, and we're gonna hold her accountable to it. So stay tuned. Jen said, my dad passed 6 years ago, and I was my mom's caregiver. Losing them really took its toll on me. Annie Ale made me try this, and I feel better after every Wednesday. This should be required. It's freeing. Oh, that's awesome. And thanks to Annie for the referral. And Sharon says, how do I join? Is there a link? Yeah, so if you go into the app, on here, let me share it. So if you go to app.journalparty.com, that'll get you into our little guided journaling platform, and that'll bring you over to this Discover tab. And on here, you can sign up for a free trial, see if you like it on Mondays. Yeah, you can also do it directly through your app, but I would say if you're gonna do it, maybe please do it through app.journalparty.com, because then Apple and Google don't take like 30%. We're doing okay here, but yeah, gotta find ways to keep some of the money you guys are paying for this stuff, so we can reinvest it instead of just giving it to Apple. Although, you know what, Apple makes our app work really well, so I'm not going to say anything too bad about. Lady Sharon said, I've been on a journey of letting go of those things that have restrained me. I must say that this journal party session was next level, especially writing from their perspective, and writing that letter dropped several years of negativity off my life. That's awesome. Yes. I'm going to give you, wait, hold on. I set this up just in case. Ready? Yay. Sorry, guys. I can't help being a cheese ball. She says, thank you for starting this journey and bringing us along with you. #braver together. Awesome. I love it. You guys make my life. It's awesome. Well, folks, I think we're getting to time here. Actually, we're over time. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for entertaining me, my musings, and for sharing. Thank you for all the, the vulnerable shares, the lighthearted shares. Week after week, this thing, is becoming something that I really wanted to happen, didn't know that it could happen. And, connecting with you all is really, it's really awesome. I'm going to be working on ways to, make Journal Party even more of a party, and so that's the idea behind doing these Zoom sessions and things like that. These Zoom sessions. This isn't a Zoom session, obviously, but yeah, we're gonna do more of this like face-to-face interactive type of stuff. I think this is really where it's at. We're on to something. Journaling is traditionally a solitary activity, but I think that when we, what's the point of reflection? It's to go on a journey, win some wisdom, win some prize, and bring it back to the tribe to share, right? Share it with all of us. And not to say you got to share what you write. You never have to share what you write. I think that's the coolest thing, is that you can be messy in these things. And when you dust yourself off and come back to center, come back to the community, we all benefit, we all grow together, and it's super awesome. You guys are clearly loving it, so that's awesome. All right, folks. Well, it's time for me to go eat some dinner, play with my dog, kiss my future wife, who I am marrying in like 2 weeks. It's crazy. And with that, so guys, I'll probably be on next week. We'll probably have a podcast next week, but the week following that, maybe we might have to take a little hiatus as I do my wedding and honeymoon type of thing. So I don't know. Stay tuned. I'll announce it all in the group, send out an email, whatever. But anyway, from the bottom of my heart,